I'm visiting every single Roman ruin in Britain, and this is Ambleside Roman Fort. Now, you can't really see very much at the ground level, so why don't we take it up into the air? In about 100 AD, the Romans built a wooden fort on this location. It was quite a small fort and could only house about 200 soldiers, and was prone to flooding because it was right on the lake's shore. So what they did was they raised this platform. As you can see there's probably about 1.5 meters of elevation, and decided to build a stone fort on its place. This was occupied from Hadrianic times well into the end of late Roman Britain. And there's actually some evidence that a local warlord may have used this as a base to operate after the Romans left Britain. The Romans would have used what was local to them to build, and the Lake District is not short of stone. So this central range of buildings was built of local Lake District stone. But over here, still in the fortification, well within the boundaries, is what appears to be nothing. But that's not because the Romans didn't build anything there, it's because it was built in a more ephemeral way. They used things like post hole structures and beam slot structures, things that don't necessarily survive to this day, but are provable archaeologically through excavations. I'm standing on the remains of the gatehouse, which looks out onto Lake Windermere. Now, the Romans weren't stupid. Although they did copy the designs of their forts, they wouldn't stick a gate on here for no reason. It does face onto the water, which does lend weight to the argument that the Romans used this as an entry port for materials coming in from Lake Windermere. Roman forts of the early empire look a bit like a playing card from a bird's eye view. That's because they were pretty much copied throughout the entire empire, and Ambleside Roman fort was no different. In the middle of these forts were what's known as the central range. You have the granaries. You also have the headquarters building, which I'm in now, and you have the fort commander's house, where he would have lived with his family. Not every fort has this though. This, remarkably, are the surviving remains of the fort's temple, where the commander of the fort would have kept things that would be sacred to this cohort, the eagles, for example. But also, this would have been the strong box, where he would have kept all the money that he would use to pay his soldiers. You wouldn't want this being broken into, hence why it was underground in the most sacred place of the entire fortification.